Hello everyone, this is TheNelston. Welcome back to another video. My journey through this terrifying world has been quite adventurous thus far. I've explored bustling towns, conquered irriguous bamboo jungles, and harnessed the awesome power of whitewater rapids to supply my fortress with resources. I've even been able to tepidly venture into the bourne of hell itself, not just to gather priceless resources, but to also search for Margaret Thatcher's soul, who seems to be located in an even deeper ring than I landed in. In today's expeditions, though, we will be crossing into a desolate and plague-stricken landscape filled to the brim with vicious monsters who will even cannibalize their own kind without mercy. The dangers are high, but the rewards are just too good to pass up. Let's go to the Beneath together in part 5 of my 100 days in Hardcore Rebirth of the Night. I hope you guys enjoy. One of the big changes from the last episode is that I've added the mob dismemberment mod. And it's just so much fun to play with. This works on skeletons, zombies, creepers, and if you're interested in trying it out, I will include a download link, but my god, this just makes me feel like I'm playing Doom or something. Then it was time to go back to the mines in order to get some obsidian. You'll see what this is for later. Have I mentioned how much I like the mob dismemberment mod? Like, dude, just, you can push the limbs around. You kill a mob and you can push the body parts. This makes me feel like Ted Bundy, it's great. After filling up my inventory, I went back to base. After I stashed away the items I had obtained earlier, I was finally able to hatch this mysterious egg that had dropped from the creeper earlier. And I mean, come on, look at this guy, he's adorable. His head is a little too big for his body, and he kind of radiates hearts, but if you have any name ideas, make sure to leave it down in the comments. After starting up the process of cooking my ores, I first crafted a backpack and then combined it with the ender chest using the obsidian I obtained earlier to get the bag of holding. Now, I'm more greedy with my armor points than Wall Street is with, well, just greed. And the main issue is that in the current version, backpacks take up your chest armor slot, which means that you can't really wear any chest armor. But in 3.0, this has changed so that it only takes up the bauble slot instead. So in 3.0, both the backpack and the bag of holding are viable, but in 2.77.5, I mean, what can I say? I like my protection. I really like bread, so I decided to make some greenhouse glass to grow wheat out of season, got some ever fertile soil, threw it in a corner, and started bone mealing the hell out of the wheat. After that, it was time to give my cockatrice a name. Thank you to Jackie Edwards for the suggestion. I really like cockatiels in real life, so this is really kind of a no-brainer for me, and I hope that Chester in real life is doing as well as his buddy in Rebirth. Then I went ahead and rigged up my stone generator to some redstone. This is obviously most useful for stone bricks, but smooth stone can be used for so many other things as well. Then, in order to end off the day, I went on a rampage to clear out enough space for my next big project, an aqueduct. Aqueducts are one of the main ways you can get infinite water in this mod pack. They're easy to set up early game and they're extremely cheap. And the way it functions is essentially by creating a line of water source blocks from a water block in an infinite water biome like the river to your target destination, in this case, my base. I started off the next day by using the aqueduct to start brewing some fire resistance elixirs. These are really strong for the nether, and if I don't have them on before I go in, fire damage is, well, basically just a death sentence. I also went ahead and replaced the stash with a chest because for some reason, hoppers just don't fill up stashes past 64 items like they're supposed to, so, I just had to manually transfer the items myself. After collecting the fire resistance elixirs, I made a pocket watch to tell the time easier. Armed with the elixirs, I immediately went to the nether and slammed one back. Once I got to the nether, my first priority was to go to the nether city, and no, I'm not going to speed bridge because no. After I finished the construction, I went back to my base to say hello to a fully grown creeper, and I also crafted a pulley and some hemp rope to make a DIY rope ladder. The great advantage of this system is that eventually I can make an elevator for it. Once the rope ladder hit the ground, it was time to go down. Of course, as soon as I got there, I was greeted by two very unfriendly hosts. I'm gonna be completely honest, I have no idea how I turned ghosts into body parts, but I'm just not gonna question it. I dug up all of the plants because these are really useful for plague cures, and also, they just look cool. Of course, I did what I know best as an American, and I looted the place more than the United States looted South America. Then, in true American fashion, I blew up some more enemy combatants before I left the area. I got back from the nether and tried to hatch a rotten egg to get another cockatrice, but I had no luck. I started boning the wheat like crazy because I needed a lot for dog treats. If my dogs don't become diabetic from this, I'm gonna be really surprised. As I was working on the dog treats, there was a lammergeier that flew by, so I decided to tame him with bones. I started making all of the dog treats and then I used them to feed the dogs. I maxed out Pack Puppy on each one because extra storage is always nice when I'm adventuring, and they can actually even pick up items off the ground, which is another big plus. I started making some more nether coal because these are absolutely vital in producing massive amounts of glare torches. Glare torches are nice because they can be thrown and they also light up a larger area. I made a tool belt to hold all of my tools, which was pretty nice, and I also crafted some pouches as well to expand the storage. Gold buttons are really useful in redstone because they emit a 1-tick pulse, which means that I can immediately turn on and off my redstone circuit without too much trouble. Man, look at all these glare torches. Now all I need are pitchforks and we can pay a visit to Jeff Bezos' house. Of course, I tried to dig down, but I was immediately distracted by all of these shiny ores. I got really lucky with a cool diamond and ruby vein, but of course, under great beauty always lies great danger. I decided to go back and clear out my inventory first before going to the beneath, and also I decided to change my pants because they were kind of brown. Since last night was a full moon, I decided to make some lunar water. I used buckets because those are more space efficient than bottles. I swapped out my lunar water for a regular water bucket because the lunar water felt way too cheaty and it took away from the skill of actually using healing items like bandages. I broke down the last layers of the ancient arcane barrier and a damned location was once again physically joined to the rest of the overworld. With nothing better to do, I decided to jump in and changed the course of fate forever. As I dug, I broke into the ceiling of the Beneath's vast subterranean cavern system. It was a long way down, and even with Feather Falling 4, I would likely die instantly if I made even a single misstep. I made a quick platform, then went back up to the surface to get my old friend, the hemp rope and pulley system. Once I got back, I set up the system just like I did in the nether and let the rope fall. As soon as it stopped descending, I grabbed my torches and started shimmying down the precarious ladder. Of course, there were many angry mobs down there, so I just immediately turned around. Call me a predator drone because that was one hell of an airstrike. If you shift in midair while right-clicking with glare torches, you throw the entire stack. I'm so glad this feature is gone in 3.0. Instead of going deep, I decided to move towards some of the edges on the side and potentially mine resources there. Because quark reach-around placement can be extremely unreliable if you move too quickly, I took this really slowly. Right after making landfall, I was immediately swarmed by a horde of zombies, including 2 poisonous ones and a plague zombie. Poison is, as discussed before, absolutely terrifying, and plague is even worse because it completely disables healing of any kind for a full 5 minutes. Bandages, regeneration, natural regen, nothing would work anymore. Yeah, it's pretty bad. So as you can see, I always dipped at the first sight of an overgrown or plague zombie. There's absolutely no point in flirting with death because just like middle schoolers flirting, the result is almost always disastrous. The rest of the day was spent fighting the constant stream of mobs and lighting up the area. Progress is always going to be painfully slow on the surface of the Beneath. It took me almost 10 minutes to advance, 50 blocks or so, and anyone who tells you otherwise is most likely up to some funny business. I started off day 5 by fighting back the mobs. In the Beneath, this is a permanent struggle. These jockey mobs are honestly just terrifying. I can't even put enough distance between myself and them before I get ganked. These bandages honestly came in so clutch. Was it not for them, I would have easily dropped to one-shot range by basically any Beneath mob. Timing your eating is really important because every time you eat something, it'll regenerate some health almost instantly. After a long time fighting back mobs, I finally got to do what I came here to do. Mine ores and get filthy rich. Silver doesn't initially seem that useful since I don't need tools or armor anymore, but it's actually critical for making electrum, which is used later. Fighting off mobs is a pretty grueling process, and for everyone except me, pretty boring to watch. So if you're interested though in seeing a longer cut of this section, make sure to let me know because I'd be happy to post that. Did you know iron is actually the heaviest element present in any star? Past that point, fusion becomes an energy sink. If you've made it this far, go ahead and comment one of your favorite trivia facts down below. To keep up my food stocks, I ate whatever I could get my hands on, including bat wings. COVID 2021, here I come. At this moment, my life started flashing before my eyes. I didn't think fast enough or else I could have easily avoided getting hit had I used the water bucket, but either way, things went downhill really quickly, and I was lucky to even get out of there alive. Why did I do this? Why? I have absolutely no idea, to be honest. Of course, my greed was severely punished with my first death. But well, at least I don't have plague anymore. This time, I wasn't going to risk it for some iron, so I just decided to go back to the overworld. Nether coal? Yeah, nether coal. Post beneath, you get these terrifying Chernobyl bats which try to sit on your face. The next day was just spent preparing my base for the invasion, so I hope you guys enjoy this short building montage. The next day started off pretty rainy, which was great because it washed away all the remains from last night. En route to the Nether, I was able to find a comet shard. I felt like I was in Your Name or something, which, by the way, is a really good movie. I was planning to spend most, if not all, of my day in the Nether. The main reason I was here was to get blaze rods for brewing stands in order to make potion rings. Bridging across a huge drop into lava is always terrifying. I've always been scared of the Kool-Aid Man, but this is just so much worse. I am so thankful that these guys are going to be removed in the next update. Dealing with them has been so painful and they don't even drop XP. I also decided to grab some glowstone because I always run out of this stuff. After a long and arduous journey, I was finally able to reach the fabled Nether Fortress, home to legions of tortured souls and the undead, built by a civilization whose history has long since ceased to exist except in whispers. So what did I do? Well, pillage it completely, of course. Of course, I couldn't forget about the main reason I was here, blaze rods. So I got to work on gently coaxing blaze rods from the friendly blazes. Before departing, I marked the spawner so I could easily set up a farm later. This could prove to be quite useful after all. Once I was done with the nether, I started a long and more painful process than childbirth known as sorting my items. Finally, it was time to start brewing potions for potion rings. While it does feel a little bit like cheating, I still do plan on using them because it just makes life a lot easier, and there is still a significant XP cost. To end off the day, I fought a ghast fairly and harvested its tears. It looks like it still wasn't over the 2020 election. The first batch of potions was going to be regeneration so that I could make a regen 2 potion ring. This way I would have a much better time dealing with swarms of mobs, particularly in the beneath. And here we go. I didn't get a great modifier, but I was still excited nonetheless. You can add up to 7 tool belt pouches for a total of 9 slots available. I was very low on sand, so I decided to commit several crimes against nature. I ended up going back to the grinder to get some more XP for bonus hearts. The tool belt upgrades had drained me quite a bit after all. It's finally time for a quiver upgrade. Of course the modifier sucks because why wouldn't it? I set out on a long journey to obtain a reforging station to fix my quiver. However, there is no easy way to get materials to reforge quivers apart from mithril ingots or spectral silt, so I later decided to just make a new one since I had the diamonds to spare anyways. While this one had no modifier, it was certainly better than getting yet another bad bauble. I also crafted 2 more potion rings, a magnetism ring for mining and a strength ring for fighting. If I tried hard enough, I might even be able to fist my enemies to death now. The next day, I went back down to the beneath. Armed with my new rings, I felt almost invincible. This time, I went all the way down the rope ladder because it was time to see what awaited me at the bottom. After clearing out the immediate area, I mined up all of this beautiful viridium. Viridium is easily my favorite material in the game as a full set of this armor provides permanent speed too. If you're ever curious about whether your game is lagging or not, you should use this command to check your TPS. It'll even show you which dimensions are causing the issues. Dealing with mobs now was an absolute breeze thanks to permanent strength too. I started slowly bridging towards the dark abyss, hoping to get my hands on some fabled blue metal. Once I got to the bottom, I quickly bridged over to a ledge and lit up the area. There wasn't any mithril this high up, but I was still able to gather a lot of other valuable materials too. If you're wondering, this is what the beneath really looks like. There are mobs everywhere, all of them are either tanky, speedy, or both, and you always need to stay vigilant. Once I gathered enough stuff, I resurfaced. The reason I'm getting this much hemp is because I need it for armor padding to make my viridium set. I need some leather to make the armor straps, so I threw excess rotten flesh into the millstones. Combining all the components together, I could make plate armor, which I finally used to forge my viridium armor set. Since I had a lot of excess viridium, I decided to reforge my equips a bit to get better rolls. You know my luck, RNGesus does not smile upon his children often. I also crafted a very powerful weapon, the Viridium Katana. With both a fast attack speed and jaw-dropping damage, I could easily shred through any mobs that dared to challenge me. After that, it was time to start enchanting my new equipment. When the sun rose, I went to the nether to gather some important treasures. And then, it was day 41.